Have you ever felt like your mind is running in circles, replaying the same worries and fears over and over again? Maybe it's the argument you had last week, the decision you're dreading to make, or the endless what-ifs about the future. Overthinking is a silent storm that keeps us trapped in our own heads, stealing our peace and happiness. But what if I told you that breaking free from this cycle isn't as complicated as it seems? What if there were simple steps rooted in ancient Buddhist wisdom and backed by practical techniques that could transform the way you think and bring you the peace you've been searching for? In today's video, we'll dive into the 5 most effective steps to stop overthinking for good. Along the way, I'll share some powerful insights, practical exercises, and even a few timeless lessons from the Buddha himself. By the end, you'll not only understand why overthinking happens but also how to regain control of your mind and live a more balanced, joyful life. So, stay with me. It's not just about stopping the storm in your mind. It's about learning to dance in the rain and finding the calm within. Let's begin. Step 1. Awareness. Before we delve into the steps to overcome overthinking, let me tell you a story. In a small village nestled in the mountains, a young blacksmith named Arjun found himself trapped in a cycle of endless worry. Every night, as he lay down to sleep, his mind filled with thoughts of his unfinished work, potential mistakes, and the expectations of his clients. He would rehearse conversations he hadn't had and relive moments he wished had gone differently. This overthinking left him exhausted and unable to focus. One day, a wise monk passing through the village noticed Arjun's troubled demeanor. The monk sat with him and said, "Your thoughts are like the sparks from your forge. They fly in every direction, but they do not define the strength of the metal you craft. To shape your life, you must first understand the fire within." Inspired, Arjun began observing his thoughts and recognizing patterns of worry and doubt. He realized that awareness was the first step to forging not just metal, but also a more peaceful mind. The path to overcoming overthinking begins with awareness, a conscious recognition of your patterns and triggers. Awareness acts as a spotlight, illuminating the dark corners of our minds where overthinking thrives. By paying attention to these triggers, you can take the first step toward liberation from this exhausting mental habit. Start by asking yourself, what triggers this habit in me? For many, the triggers include fear of failure or judgment. The thought of not meeting expectations, whether personal or societal, can spiral into obsessive worry. Uncertainty about the future. When life feels unpredictable, our minds often latch onto worst-case scenarios, attempting to prepare for every possibility. Unresolved regrets from the past, dwelling on what could have been, can trap us in an endless loop of what-ifs. Take a moment to reflect. Grab a notebook or open a document on your device. Write down situations that commonly lead to overthinking. For example, preparing for a high-stakes presentation at work, navigating conflicts or uncertainties in personal relationships, worrying about financial stability or future security. By documenting these scenarios, you create a tangible roadmap that helps you understand where overthinking begins. Once you've identified these triggers, you can start addressing them one by one, applying practical solutions or mindfulness techniques to each. In Buddhism, understanding the roots of suffering is not just beneficial, it is essential. The Buddha's teachings emphasize that ignorance, or not knowing, is one of the primary causes of human suffering. Ignorance acts like a blindfold, keeping us trapped in cycles of worry and confusion. By identifying your overthinking triggers, you metaphorically remove the blindfold, allowing clarity and insight to emerge. Mindfulness is a cornerstone of Buddhist practice and a powerful tool for cultivating awareness. It encourages us to observe our thoughts without judgment, creating space between the trigger and our reaction. A simple mindfulness practice involves 1. Pausing when overthinking begins. Recognize when your mind starts spiraling. 2. Acknowledging your thoughts. Label them as fear, regret, or worry. 3. Refocusing on the present moment. Take deep breaths and focus on what is within your control now. Awareness is not a one-time event, it is a skill to cultivate daily. By understanding your overthinking triggers and addressing them with mindfulness and practical solutions, you take the first step toward mental freedom. As the Buddha said, with our thoughts, we make the world. Step 2. Be mindful of your thoughts. Once you have identified the triggers that fuel your overthinking, the next step is to cultivate mindfulness, a foundational element of Buddhist philosophy and practice. Mindfulness enables you to observe your thoughts without judgment, creating space for clarity and emotional balance. Instead of suppressing or eliminating thoughts, mindfulness invites you to acknowledge them for what they are, fleeting mental events. Imagine standing in a bustling train station, surrounded by the constant arrival and departure of trains. Each train represents a thought or emotion passing through your mind. As the traveler, you have a choice. You don't need to board every train. This analogy beautifully illustrates the essence of mindfulness. Instead of getting caught up in every thought, practice being the observer, allowing thoughts to come and go without clinging to them. When a worrisome or intrusive thought arises, practice labeling it. For example, this is fear. This is doubt. This is uncertainty. By naming the thought, you create a sense of detachment. This simple act reduces the emotional charge of the thought, making it easier to let go. Instead of being consumed by the thought, you'll find yourself becoming a neutral observer. In Buddhism, the principle of non-attachment is central to achieving inner peace. The Buddha taught that suffering arises when we cling to thoughts, desires, or fears. By observing your thoughts without attachment, you break free from the cycle of craving and aversion that fuels overthinking. The story of a monk who carried a heavy sack of rice illustrates this beautifully. When asked why he didn't set it down, the monk replied, "I fear losing what I've gathered." Similarly, when we cling to our thoughts, we carry unnecessary burdens. Mindfulness teaches us to set those burdens down and embrace the lightness of non-attachment. Before diving into practical techniques, let's consider a real-life example. Sophia, a university student, often found herself overwhelmed with thoughts about her future. She would lay awake at night, plagued by questions. What if I fail my exams? What if I don't get a job after graduation? This constant mental chatter left her anxious and exhausted. One day, a mentor introduced Sophia to mindfulness. She learned to observe her thoughts without judgment and began practicing a simple yet transformative technique, labeling her thoughts. When fears about her exams arose, she would pause and say, "This is fear about the future." This small act of acknowledgement helped her detach from her worries and refocus on her studies. Over time, Sophia noticed profound changes in her life. Her relationships with friends improved as she became more present in conversations, listening without distraction. Her academic performance soared because she could concentrate fully during lectures and study sessions. Even her sleep patterns stabilized, with fewer restless nights and a sense of calm before bedtime. One evening, as she reflected on her journey, Sophia realized just how far she had come. "I used to feel like a prisoner of my own mind," she thought, "but now, I have the tools to set myself free." This moment solidified her belief in the power of mindfulness. To bring mindfulness into practice, try the 5-4-3-2-1 technique when you feel overwhelmed. Acknowledge 5 things you can see around you. Identify 4 things you can touch within reach. Notice 3 things you can hear. Recognize 2 things you can smell. Focus on 1 thing you can taste or imagine tasting. This exercise grounds you in the present moment, breaking the cycle of overthinking and anchoring your awareness to the here and now. Practicing mindfulness doesn't just help with overthinking, it transforms how you experience life. With regular practice, you may notice improved focus. By training your mind to stay in the present, you'll find it easier to concentrate on tasks. Reduced stress. Mindfulness calms the nervous system, helping you respond to challenges with greater equanimity. Enhanced relationships. By being present with others, you deepen your connections and foster more meaningful interactions. Incorporate mindfulness into your daily routine by starting your morning with intention. As you wake up, take a few minutes to observe your breath. Set a positive intention for the day. Acknowledge any lingering thoughts or emotions without judgment. This small ritual sets a mindful tone for the rest of the day, helping you navigate challenges with greater ease and awareness. Step 3. Challenge your thoughts. Overthinking often stems from irrational fears, assumptions, or exaggerated beliefs. These unexamined thoughts can create an endless loop of anxiety and self-doubt. To break free from this cycle, it's crucial to challenge the validity of your thoughts and separate fact from fiction. When faced with overthinking, pause and reflect. Ask yourself, is this realistic? Is there evidence to support this fear? Am I assuming the worst without reason? By engaging in this internal dialogue, you gain a clearer perspective and reduce the emotional charge of your thoughts. This process transforms vague anxieties into manageable concerns. Imagine you're feeling anxious about an upcoming meeting. You're worried that you'll be judged harshly by your peers. Stop and reflect. Has this happened before? What specific evidence do I have to support this fear? Am I catastrophizing, or is this a genuine possibility? Often, you'll find that your fears are exaggerated. Reality tends to be far kinder than the scenarios we construct in our minds. By grounding your thoughts in evidence, you reclaim control over your narrative. Buddhism teaches that thoughts are impermanent. They arise, linger for a while, and eventually fade away. This insight reminds us that our thoughts are not absolute truths, they are transient mental events. The Buddha often compared thoughts to clouds passing across the sky. No matter how dark or stormy a cloud may appear, it eventually dissipates, revealing the clear sky beyond. When a distressing thought arises, put it to the test. Follow these steps. 1. Identify the thought. Write it down or say it aloud. 2. Examine its validity. Ask, is this thought based on fact or assumption? 3. Consider alternative explanations. What other perspectives might exist? 4. Decide on a response. Based on the evidence, determine whether the thought deserves attention or dismissal. Take the story of Alex, a young professional who constantly worried about making mistakes at work. Every small error felt like a monumental failure in Alex's mind. But after practicing the thought-testing method, Alex began to see patterns. Most of the fears were based on what-ifs rather than actual events. By challenging these assumptions, Alex learned to approach work with confidence and resilience. Challenging your thoughts is not about harsh self-criticism, it's about self-compassion. Recognize that everyone experiences irrational fears and doubts. Instead of judging yourself for overthinking, treat yourself with kindness. Remind yourself, it's okay to feel this way, but I don't have to let these thoughts control me. To counteract negative thoughts, practice affirmations such as, I am capable of handling challenges. This fear does not define me. I choose to focus on facts, not assumptions. Repeating affirmations helps rewire your brain, creating a foundation of confidence and optimism. As you regularly challenge your thoughts, you'll notice profound changes in your mental landscape, including reduced anxiety. By questioning the validity of fears, you'll feel less overwhelmed. Greater emotional resilience. Facing irrational thoughts with logic strengthens your ability to handle stress. Improved focus. By filtering out unhelpful thoughts, you free up mental space for productive endeavors. Step 4. Take action. Taking action is the most effective antidote to overthinking. While fear and doubt often paralyze us, movement, even small, incremental steps, breaks the cycle of mental stagnation and builds courage over time. Progress doesn't require perfection, it simply requires momentum. Overthinking often feeds on inactivity. When you're stuck in place, your mind has endless opportunities to create scenarios and magnify fears. Action, on the other hand, disrupts this cycle. By focusing on the present and moving forward, you prevent fear from gaining a foothold. You don't have to make massive leaps to overcome overthinking. Begin with manageable steps that create a foundation for growth. For example, if you're afraid to speak up, set a goal to share one idea in your next meeting. If you're intimidated by solo travel, plan a short day trip to a nearby town to build your confidence. If you're procrastinating on a big task, break it into smaller, actionable steps and tackle one at a time. Each small step reinforces your ability to take control and builds momentum toward larger goals. To make action less daunting, set micro goals. These are small, achievable objectives that align with your bigger aspirations. For instance, 1. Identify a specific fear or challenge you've been overthinking. 2. Break it into 3 smaller actions. 3. Commit to completing one action each day or week. By focusing on these micro goals, you shift your energy from worry to accomplishment, creating a sense of empowerment. The principle of right effort from the Noble Eightfold Path emphasizes the importance of channeling energy into constructive actions. In Buddhism, right effort means preventing unwholesome states from arising, abandoning unwholesome states that have already arisen, cultivating wholesome states that have not yet arisen, sustaining wholesome states that have already arisen. By taking purposeful and mindful actions, you align your efforts with these principles, fostering resilience and strength. Action doesn't have to be flawless. The goal is progress, not perfection. Each step forward, no matter how small, represents growth. Remember, even imperfect action is more productive than perfect inaction. By embracing this mindset, you reduce the pressure of expectations and allow yourself to move forward freely. When you consistently take action, you'll notice profound changes in your mindset and behavior. Reduced overthinking. Movement shifts your focus from rumination to tangible progress. Increased confidence. Each small success builds trust in your abilities. Resilience. Over time, taking action becomes a habit, making it easier to face future challenges. Step 5. Seek support. Sometimes, the most effective way to break free from mental loops is by seeking external support. Trusted friends, family members, or professional counselors can offer fresh perspectives and emotional relief, guiding you toward clarity and balance. Sharing your burdens lightens the mental load and allows others to provide insights you might not see on your own. When overthinking clouds your judgment, a supportive listener can act as a mirror, reflecting a more objective view of your concerns. Connection fosters not only understanding but also hope and resilience. Start by identifying people you trust. This could include friends and family. Share your feelings with those who know you well and can offer encouragement. Counselors or therapists. Professional guidance provides tools and techniques tailored to your needs. Community groups. Joining a meditation or mindfulness group can foster a sense of belonging and mutual support. Make it a habit to reach out regularly, even when you're not struggling. Building relationships during calmer times creates a strong foundation for support during challenging moments. Let's consider a real-life example: the young monk's struggle. A young monk once grappled with deep doubts about his spiritual practice. Frustrated and overwhelmed, he sought guidance from his teacher. The teacher said, "The mountain may seem insurmountable, but every climb begins with a single step. And remember, you don't have to climb alone." Inspired by these words, the monk began sharing his struggles with fellow practitioners. Their encouragement and shared experiences renewed his motivation and deepened his understanding of the path. In Buddhism, the Sangha, the community of practitioners, is one of the three jewels, alongside the Buddha and the Dharma. The Sangha represents the collective strength of individuals supporting one another on the path to enlightenment. This principle highlights the value of seeking support from others who share your goals and values. When you're part of a community, the journey becomes less daunting, and progress feels more achievable. Consider joining a meditation group or mindfulness circle in your area or online. These communities provide guidance, learn techniques and practices from experienced teachers, encouragement, share experiences and gain motivation from others facing similar challenges, accountability, stay committed to your growth through regular practice and shared goals. When you seek support, you're not just addressing overthinking, you're fostering emotional resilience and strengthening relationships. Over time, you'll notice reduced isolation. Feeling connected eases the loneliness that often accompanies overthinking. Increased self-awareness. Through conversations and shared experiences, you gain new insights into your thoughts and behaviors. Improved problem solving. Collaborative efforts lead to more creative and effective solutions. Remember, no one climbs life's mountains alone. By seeking support, you tap into the collective wisdom and strength of others, making the journey more manageable and fulfilling. As we bring this journey to a close, let's take a moment to reflect. Overthinking isn't a flaw or a weakness, it's simply a habit, one that you now have the tools to change. By identifying your triggers, practicing mindfulness, challenging your thoughts, taking action, and seeking support, you're no longer at the mercy of your mind. You're taking back control. Remember, progress doesn't mean perfection. Even small steps forward are victories. The Buddha once said, "A jug fills drop by drop." Every bit of effort you make today contributes to the peace and clarity you'll experience tomorrow. Now, here's your next step. Choose one of the strategies we discussed and put it into practice today. Start small. Perhaps it's journaling your triggers, meditating for 5 minutes, or reaching out to a trusted friend for support. Action is the bridge between intention and transformation. If you found value in this video, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who might benefit from these insights. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Buddha's Odyssey for more wisdom and practical tools to live a mindful, balanced life. Together, we can build a community of growth and compassion. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Until next time, may you walk the path of peace, clarity, and self-discovery. You have the power to change your life one thought, one action, one moment at a time.